Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great, following the 3 H's of the channel and all that good stuff. And in this video, it's all about Hawaii. So, if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, pull up a stump with me and let's jump into it. Thank you for watching. When I was 12 or 13, I was living in Hawaii. One interesting thing about Hawaii is that we kind of have our own entire pantheon of ghost and paranormal stuff going on here. Anyways, I was out hunting with my uncle, my little cousin, and the dogs. After some time, we get a good-sized pig, and my uncle decides that it's enough, and it's time to head home. He asks me if I want to walk back with all of them to get to the truck, or if I want to stay with the dead pigs. And I was feeling kind of lazy, maybe tired, I don't quite remember, but I stayed with them. I figured I'd wait for my uncle to come back up the dirt road with the truck. About 7 minutes later, I hear some movement in the bushes behind me. I think it's probably just some other wild animal. Probably just a chicken or something. But then I hear, "Do you want to walk back with us to the truck?" and my name. It's in my uncle's voice. I think, what? I look back, thinking it was my uncle, being dumb and trying to pull a prank on me. There's no one there. I shout, "Hey, I thought you went back to the truck." From the other side of the road, I hear my voice echoed back at me. "Hey, I thought you went back to the truck." I know what this is. I scramble to my feet, and I ditch everything. From the same area, I hear my uncle's dogs and truck running from the bushes. I sprint about 2 minutes up the road, and I end up catching up with my uncle. He says, "Where's all the stuff?" I explain everything. He rushes me and my cousin to the truck. We drive up the road to grab the stuff I left behind. He shouts some kind of prayer into the bush. We drive home. Hawaii doesn't really have what you guys on the mainland would call skinwalkers, but we do have spirits who listen to people walking through the forest. They copy what you say. If you call out someone else's name, if you respond to them, they'll feel like you're their friend. Then they follow you home. It's why we don't call each other's names while hunting usually. I don't think it followed me home. I had some weird stuff happen after that, but it only lasted a day or so. I've lived in Hawaii my whole life, and this is something weird that happened when I was just a kid. So, by this point, the 4th of July weekend had ended about a week ago, but the neighbors were across the way, still letting off sparklers. So I go over there with my little 3-year-old brother. I invite myself to play with their sparklers, but eventually they go inside anyways, so I just play with the burnt ones on the ground and pretend they're sparkling. When you're with somebody else doing it too, it's pretty fun, kind of the best time of your life. But anyways, so we're playing games and stuff on the street, and then the street light comes on, signaling that it's getting into the evening. So I stand under one with my little brother. It's still kind of light outside, so I don't feel a pressing need to go home at all. I make a game where we jump in and out of the area that the streetlight illuminates. I didn't notice how dark it had gotten, or how far from the house that we had wandered. Eventually, this light jumping game gets old, so now we are spinning around and looking at the bugs flying around the streetlight above us. We notice bats flying in and eating the bugs. I think it's a bird at first, and I step out from under the street lamp. I'm more surprised to realize that I'm outside in the dark, and I actually can't see anything. And if you're wondering why it was so cool to me, it's because before this time I had never actually been outside at night. My parents actually didn't even know that we were out doing this. I'm pretty sure that they were asleep at the time. We had snuck out. So we're both out just experiencing the night. And we have the idea to go to the park. Again, My mom and dad don't even know that we're out here, so there's no chance of getting in trouble, so the idea to go to the park seems perfect. He seems a little unsure of the park idea, but he goes along anyways. So, we're walking in the direction of the park through a field. Back then, the field seemed endless and expansive, but I'm pretty sure if I were to go back there now, it would be much smaller than I remember. But my little brother starts crying and is scared. He points to a light in the sky. I feel smart telling him that it's just fireworks. He calms down. In all reality, I don't really know what it is, but it seems to be getting closer. I'm wondering if it's lightning. The light's really weirding me out, how it's coming closer, so I tell him that I'll race him home, just to make him run without alarming him. So we start racing home. I know it'll be a bit before we actually make it down the road and into the house, but I need him to run. I keep looking behind me and to the side of me. This light is getting closer, but now it's coming down from the sky and it's following me at erratic angles. And it's brighter than the brightest car headlights I had ever seen. I look back, it's coming so fast and it's getting so close. I push my brother out of the way as hard as I can. He goes flying and hits the ground just a few feet in front of me. Right then, the wave hits me. It feels tingly or fuzzy, and then nothing. The light holds me right where it hit me, and that's all I can remember. Some time had passed, and I woke up to my brother shaking me awake, crying, telling me that we had to go home. I don't know what that was. I've been to that area more than once since then. I used to think that I got struck by lightning, but there was no entrance wound, exit wound, any wound of any kind. It just did something to me, sapped all my energy. This was found on the website Phantoms and Monsters. Link is in the description. This is a story told in 1970 by a Hawaiian fisherman about the time that he and his companion heard the phantom night marchers and saw their torches. He related his story as follows. One night, when I was fishing for ulua on the Mahukona side, I was sitting listening to the waves crash on the rocks. I was with Kioki. We started telling stories after sliding fresh eels down the line. It was about 10 o'clock, and suddenly I heard the sound of a conch shell blowing in the distance. Kioki heard it too. I thought that it was the wind. Then, a little while later, we heard it again. This time, it was a little louder. It was kind of scary because we didn't see anything, but then we heard it again. We looked toward Kauai side, and then we saw it. It looked like a procession. At first, we saw a line of torches in the distance. The procession was moving along the coastline, and then the conch shell blew again. I took out my knife, and Kioki got the rifle. We went seaward and laid down on the lava rock. We had heard stories about the night marchers from other fishermen. We knew that you aren't supposed to look upon them, and you're supposed to lay on the ground, face down. We did this. The marchers of us on the sand path. As they passed, we could hear the sound of a drum pounding, beat by beat. We didn't look up until they were further down the coast, and all we could see now was the same line of torches, and all we could hear was the faraway sound of the conch shell. We didn't know if they were going to come back that night, but we didn't want to stick around and find out. We got our sleeping bags and we made it to the car, and we went to Spencer Park to spend the rest of the night. In the morning, we went back and picked up our rigs and the equipment that we left behind. Now I know some of you may know what the night marchers are, but some of you may not, so this is from Wikipedia about what the night marchers are. In Hawaiian mythology, night marchers, or spirit ranks, are the deadly ghosts of ancient tribal warriors. The night marchers are the vanguard for a sacred king, a chief, or a chiefess. On nights honoring the gods, they are said to come forth from their burial sites or to rise up from the ocean and to march in a large group to Hawaiian battle sites or other sacred places. The legend says the night marchers are normal-sized warriors dressed for battle, carrying spears, clubs, and some are even beating war drums and blowing tones from conch shells to announce the advancing of their march. According to the myth, they are suspended in air. Their feet do not touch the water or the ground as they traverse through the night, and they leave no evidence of their visitations. They march in darkness after sunset and march as a group continuously until just before sunrise. Anyone living in their path may hear chanting, the sounds of blown conch shell tones, and marching noises in the night. The following signs are a foul and musky, death-like odor, and torches getting brighter and brighter as the night marchers get closer. Night marchers might appear during the day if they are to escort a dying relative to the spirit world. Ancient Hawaiian beliefs state that any mortal looking upon or being seen in defiance toward the marchers will die violently. Barriers placed in the path of the night marchers will not deter them. Some people maintain that if a mortal lies motionless, face down on the ground, they are showing proper respect, fear, and deference for the night marchers, and will be spared. Additionally, mortals can avoid harm or death from night marchers by being fortunate to have an ancient ancestor marcher present to recognize them. As they encounter the mortal, they will call out, "No," which means mine in Hawaiian. No one in the warrior procession will harm them. And that's from Wikipedia. I've been holding on to this story for a while. I've never really known where to go with it. I don't really know who would even believe me. I only told a close friend many years ago after a few drinks. So, this happened to me in 2007. I was 19 years old. I was living in Hawaii. I was living in a pretty run-down apartment in Kailua. I was going to hang out with my friends later, but before then, I got really hungry. The local market near me has the best subs ever. So I walk out of the market with my sub in my hand. The market is fairly close to a beach. I decide to walk the beach for a while. If any of you are from Kailua, you know that it gets pitch black at night. I would show a picture, but it doesn't really do it justice. It doesn't come up well on my phone. But for reference, I could hold my hand 6 inches in front of my face and not be able to see it. It's almost like being blindfolded. So, I'm walking along the beach. The darkness is unsettling me for some reason. And then I feel like I've been walking for hours. Usually by now the beach ends, and you just get back to a street. But I'm still on the beach. I can hear the waves crashing against the shore. It's usually very calming, but this time it feels different. It feels unnerving. The whole vibe is different. Every once in a while, I start to hear this odd, mechanical sound. The only way I can really describe it is a mix between a ring and a buzz, if that makes sense. But by this point, the darkness is terrifying to me, and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I feel exhausted, like all of my energy had been just sucked out of me. I only have the last couple bites of my sandwich, but it doesn't do anything. I'm shaking. My legs are feeling wobbly. The beach should have ended a long time ago, but I'm still in the darkness. I'm wondering if I got lost or turned around somehow. Then I hear this bump noise behind me. I feel my heart pick up. Everything goes quiet all around me. I can't hear the waves, nor the birds, the critters, nothing. Just this terrifying silence. I was too scared to look behind me, not even sure if I'd even see anything if I did. And then I hear thuds in the sand. It sounds like footsteps, but they're slow and deliberate. My curiosity is screaming at me to look. I barely work up the courage to do so. When I turn around, I see this white light in the distance. I think, what the hell is that? This doesn't make any sense out here. The footsteps continue. A feeling of dread sweeps over my body. For some reason, the thing I remember the most is the feeling of the sub in my hands. The white light and the footsteps get closer. I'm trying to make out just what this thing is. I feel my heart drop to my stomach. It's a face. It's pale as snow. I'll never forget its eyes. It had these sunken in, deep eyes, like it had just been through a war. It had no eyebrows, or if it did, they were very light. It had the most terrifying, blank expression on its face. Its lips were broken and chapped. Its hair had been buzzed off. I saw its eyes lock on me. The footsteps speed up. I'll never forget the feeling of knowing that it had seen me and that it was coming after me. Adrenaline shoots through my body. I drop my sub and run as fast as I could, blindly running through the darkness. I don't dare to look behind me, but these footsteps are inhumanly fast. The sound is booming in my ears. I'm screaming for help. Hot tears are falling from my face as I sprint, but the sand is awkward and hard to run on. I can feel the presence catching up to me, behind me, and then I feel an odd pressure on my back, like a spirit of some sort had its hands in my back. I feel broken, physically and mentally at this point. I'm slowing down, despite me wanting to keep running. It feels like lava in my feet every step I take. The thing behind me is making this guttural, panting noise. The mechanical ringing sound is getting closer and closer to me, practically booming in my ears. The only emotion my brain will allow me to feel while I'm trying to push my body past its limit is hopelessness. I feel like I'm going to die on this beach tonight. I see faint lights in the distance. The sound of footsteps fades out. I work up the courage to take a peek behind me. My heart stops. There are multiple white lights behind me, retreating farther and farther into the darkness. I sprint forward with everything I have left. Suddenly, I'm back on the street. I see my apartment. This doesn't make sense. I've walked this path before. It leads to a different street with a Safeway directly in front of it. I'm too exhausted, physically and mentally, to care. I walk inside my apartment. I retreat to my room. I look at my phone. It's only been 15 minutes since I left. I could swear it's been at least 4 hours, especially with the regular walk. I cancel plans with my friends, and I end up drinking a fifth of Maker's Mark I had in my mini fridge. And at some point, I just start crying, and I can't stop, and eventually I pass out. So, let me know which one was your favorite one down in the comments. Do you have one of your own? As always, I have an email in the description below that you can send them to if you'd like to. Also in the description is a link to a PayPal and a Patreon if you would like to donate to the channel that way. Or on here, there's YouTube Super Thanks. But just watching the video and stuff is very helpful too. So, with that, I think I will keep you no longer, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video on Hawaii, and if you did, maybe you'll check out another one. Thank you for pulling up a stump, and thank you for watching.